Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Sasuke 39. Now for those of you unfamiliar with Sasuke, which could be a lot of you on this channel, here's a basic explanation of what it is. It's a Japanese obstacle course tournament that has been going on ever since 1997. This year marked its 39th tournament. It's a nostalgic childhood show for me, as I've been watching the series ever since I was in kindergarten. It was known in America as Ninja Warrior, and the old intro to that show is what best describes Sasuke. Divided into four extreme stages, competitors face the ultimate test of strength and will in their quest to become champion. Back in those days, I used to do the spider walk, which was one of the obstacles on the show. As you can see, little Waluigi was quite the expert at spider walking. But anyway, the show has plenty of interesting competitors, obstacles, drama, and more. So let's look at Sasuke 39, shall we? I will be taking a number of factors into account, then giving the show an overall rating out of 10. So let's start with a little bit of context. The show is a renewal after Sasuke 38, where Yusuke Morimoto beat the entire course, or achieved what's known as Kanzen Zeha. He beat all four stages for the second time in his Sasuke career. Now normally when that happens, Sasuke does a big overhaul of its obstacles in order to make the challenge completely new. Well, they didn't do that this time. Most of the obstacles were completely the same. They looked at the first stage and just said, let's add 2 warped walls instead of 1. They looked at the second stage and did nothing. They looked at the third stage and added a pretty cool new obstacle called the swing edge, which we'll talk about later. But the overall lack of new obstacles disappoints me as a Sasuke fan. Apparently, the show's lack of budget is the reason for this. So if there's any billionaire Sasuke fans out there, please give the show a helping hand. Anyway, one thing I have always loved about Sasuke is the joke competitors. These guys and girls have certain gimmicks about them that just make their run hilarious to watch. Back in my day, we watched the glorious Mr. Octopus. He would do various octopi-related things before his run, and always fail the first obstacle in hilarious fashion. Although one time he struggled his way all the way to the third obstacle, and it was even more hilarious. Unfortunately, Old Man Octopus is retired now, but there's still one glorious joke competitor that the show starts with, namely Torisawa Katsuhide. He is super strong, as he lifts a weight above his head, but then, as per usual, he fails one of the first obstacles in a truly epic way. What separates Sasuke from American Ninja Warrior is these joke competitors that make the show funny. That's why I like it so much. Another joke competitor is the Cyber Japan dancer named Karen. Yes, that's her name. And yes, she always manages to fail early on, but at least she looks good while doing so. Anyway, let's get to talking about the competitors who actually make a difference on the show. The first stage definitely had an interesting mix of results. Sadly, many of the people I was rooting for did not clear. There's this 46-year-old guy named Matsuda Daisuke, who is trying so hard to clear the first stage. He even has a giant course replica at home, but he failed the dragon glider in this tournament. Then there's this woman named Oshima Ayano, who is trying to make Sasuke history by being only the 3rd woman to ever clear stage 1, and she came very close this time, only to fail the second warped wall. Then of course, there is Shingo Yamamoto, a true fan favorite, the only person who has competed in every Sasuke tournament. This 47-year-old was once one of the best competitors on the show. Here he is in the picture I have right here. There's Shingo. Anyway, Sasuke fans all know that Shingo Yamamoto is past his prime, yet we root hard for him to finally beat the first stage again. Sadly, he failed the 4th obstacle, the fishbone. Finally, we have Mr. Sasuke, Katsumi Yamada. His dedication to the show earned him that nickname, as he was another great competitor in the show's early days. And again, here he is right here, Mr. Sasuke. He's the one right there. Unfortunately, this 56-year-old's best days are behind him, and honestly, it's been that way for almost 20 years. But it was even more clear in this tournament, as his feet touched the water on the very first obstacle. Yes, Mr. Sasuke failed in embarrassing fashion, and then he made it worse. He tried to attempt the next obstacle, the rolling hill, even after failing, and he proceeded to fail that obstacle too. So, the good old Sasuke All-Stars, the old guard of the show, did not do well in this tournament. So while some of my personal favorite competitors sadly let me down, there were some impressive clears. Yoshiyuki Yamamoto, a man who Mr. Sasuke trains, cleared the first stage with a very impressive 27 seconds left. His run was absolutely dominant and fast, and a thrill to watch. Hiyoki Masashi, a loving 40-year-old family man, proved he still has it by beating the first stage. Ryo Matachi, one of the most inconsistent competitors on the show, managed to clear with 2.33 seconds left. But then there's one run that really upsets me, and that's Tada Tatsuya. This guy is one of the best Sasuke competitors currently on the show. He beat the first stage with only 0.2 seconds left, so what a thrilling finish, right? Well, unfortunately, the producers of Sasuke digested his run, which means they cut it out. Yes, they'd rather me watch celebrities who frankly don't have a chance of beating the first stage. It's apparently good for the ratings back in Japan, but I don't care. You can show one of your best competitors' runs. And the worst part about them digesting Tada's run is I knew he was not going to achieve Kanzenze Ha after that. He's one of the only competitors with a legit chance at that. But by not showing his full run, that takes away any chance. The producers are basically spoiling the final result to me, which I feel like is not fair. One thing I will say is this tournament was not short on shock value. Yuji Urushihara, the two-time Sasuke Grand Champion, may be 43 years old, but he still looked like he had some juice left in him heading into this run. Well, he fell the second warp wall. But surely Yusuke Morimoto, a more recent two-time Sasuke Grand Champion, would not fail the first stage, would he? He did. He failed the second warp wall as well. So despite being 30, probably still a prime age for athleticism, he has failed the warped wall in 2 of the last 3 tournaments. Of course, he achieved Kanzenze Ha in the other one of those 3 tournaments, but failing the first stage again is still unbelievable, or as the Japanese announcer calls it, masaka. So I do factor competitor results into my rating and enjoyment of the show, and Yuji and Yusuke failing certainly spiced things up. I don't root for anyone to fail, that's not who I am, but having 2 of the best competitors fail the first stage was certainly weird and interesting. So then there's the second stage, and 9 of the 14 folks who cleared the first stage went on to clear the second. This includes Kaitaro Yamamoto, who after 5 second stage fails, finally cleared it. His second stage run was an absolute nail-biter, and it was great to watch this man finally succeed. He took his sweet time, pausing before attempting the swimming obstacle known as the backstream, and all I was saying was, "Go, go, do not run out of time again." Fortunately, Kaitaro managed to clear with just under 2 seconds left on the clock. Many people were made dizzy by the rolling log, moved lethargically through the spider walk, and as a result, they timed out. But again, Yoshiyuki Yamamoto made it through with blazing speed, finishing with 26.55 seconds left. In case you can't tell, a lot of the competitors are named Yamamoto. It's kind of the Japanese version of Smith. Again, they digested Tada clearing the second stage, which I'm not happy about, and again, they didn't change any of the obstacles, so hopefully by the next tournament, they'll redo some things. Really, it's about time they got rid of the backstream. I don't want a watery obstacle in Sasuke. Then there's the third stage, a true test of endurance and upper body strength, and it seemed many of the competitors were not up to the challenge. First of all, there was a modification to this obstacle known as the Sidewinder that made it more difficult. Basically, competitors have to punch between these spinning and moving punching bag things, and many of them failed. Then there was this new obstacle called the Swing Edge, and many failed there too. You had to grab onto a set of handles from one side, then do a blind jump to a set of handles from the other side, not knowing where they are. This proved to be very difficult. And then there was that beast known as the Cliffhanger, which dispatched victims like it always does. The last man standing was none other than Tada Tatsuya, who made it all the way to the vertical limit, the second to last obstacle in the third stage. He lost his grip and the tournament was over. Sadly, I knew he was going to fail at some point because again, they digested his run, and they did this in the last tournament too. Why they gotta disrespect my boy like this? This is a man who made the final stage just 2 tournaments ago. But speaking of which, no one made the final stage in this tournament. That was a bit disappointing. But that new obstacle, the Swing Edge, probably had a good bit to do with that. and it was good to see a challenging new obstacle like that on the third stage, because recently it had become too centered around easy obstacles before the cliffhanger. So some good refreshing third stage obstacles. That was nice to see. So, after all this, what is my rating for Sasuke 39? Well, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. The tournament was a bit of a disappointment for me. It was not really worth getting up at 5 in the morning here in America. I really wish they would have done more with this renewal. Adding another warped wall to the first stage, that was lame. The only good thing were the modifications on the third stage. The course is supposed to be completely different after someone conquers it. Instead, we got more of the same. Results-wise, I was a bit disappointed too. Many of my favorite competitors did not pass the first stage. Not that I necessarily expected them to, but still. It was kinda crazy to see some of the best competitors fail, particularly Morimoto, but at least that added some shock value. The most heartwarming result was Kaitaro Yamamoto finally conquering his demons and clearing the second stage. This man has failed the second stage 5 times before. The lad finally did it in this tournament. Another guy I gotta give a shout out to is a total dark horse competitor, Yusuke Suzuki. He's a Sasuke veteran but has mostly failed the first stage. And yet, at 43 years old, he became the oldest competitor to clear the second stage in Sasuke history in this tournament. So shout out to you, Yusuke Suzuki. You are the Tom Brady of Sasuke. If they didn't digest Tada's run, I might have given this tournament a 6, even 7 out of 10. But the producers value celebrities on this show more than they do one of their best competitors, and to me, that's unacceptable. Oh well, hopefully Sasuke 40 is a better tournament next year. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Bye bye.